All right, we're going to move on now with a look at the day's top business news stories with Delano de Souza. Hi there, Delano.
Morning, Catherine.
We're going to start off with one of the world's biggest banks, Deutsche Bank. Big management shake-up going on there.
That's right. Shocking news when this was announced on Sunday. Co-chief executives Anshu Jain and Jürgen Fitchen handed in their resignation after increasing shareholder discontent. John Cryan, the former chief financial officer of UBS, has now been named CEO of Germany's largest lender. He will join the company on the 1st of July and share the role with Jürgen Fitchen, who is set to lead the bank next year. Deutsche Bank has been tarnished by a whole host of legal troubles in the past few years. Most recently, in April, the bank paid US and British authorities a fine of $2.5 billion to settle a rate-rigging case.
Right, let's move on now with the latest on Greece. Their money troubles, of course, a big headline at the end of last week. On Friday, saying they're pushing back their payment deadline. What's the latest?
It seems like the deadline keeps getting pushed further and further back. Now we have till the end of June. But it seems a political wrangling between Greece and its creditors continued over the weekend. Speaking on Friday before Parliament, Greece's Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras called the latest European offer on the table absurd. Those comments struck a nerve with the European Commission President. On the sidelines of the G7 meeting in Germany, Jean-Claude Juncker said that while he wanted Greece to remain in the euro, he wasn't a magician. Take a listen.
I have said time and time again that a Grexit is out of the question. But I don't want people to think that at the end of the day, the European Commission President will pull a rabbit out of his hat and allow us to progress towards our goal without making any further efforts.
Let's come back here to France now, where there's a little good news on the job front for a change. Renault, one of the largest car makers in the country, has announced it will hire 1,000 full-time workers, 30% of whom are women. Solange Mougin has a story.
In this car factory that assembles engines, Hélène Monton is among the 1,000 employees that Renault is hiring on long-term contracts.
I'm lucky to have the security of a long-term contract in today's world. Everyone doesn't have that. I was happy to get it.
Heads of assembly units, managers, technicians. The hires are across nearly every position. At the French car maker's Cléon factory, there are 3,800 employees and 100 new contracts. A breath of fresh air some wouldn't mind taking advantage of.
I'm on a temp contract. I love being hired for a long term because I'm happy here.
Some 500 contracts will be signed at Renault's factories in northern France. The other 500 are engineer, technician, and top-level positions. All are part of an agreement that was signed in 2013 between labor unions and management, when Renault promised to boost production, and in exchange, employees would work longer hours for lower wages. For the head of the CGT labor union, the deal still doesn't add up. He says it's a communications ploy.
There are 1,000 new hires, but 7,000 people were just laid off. That's far from what's needed.
The car maker, though, says that employees' efforts are paying off and that cost-cutting was always part of the deal.
Reducing costs was part of the agreement, and it was necessary to be able to hire in 2015.
A hiring spree that runs through the year, with thousands of candidates having already applied.
All right, finally then, Delano, can you take us through trading on the international markets today?
Well, we start out in Asia, where it was a mixed session, but shares in the Shanghai Composite reached their highest level since January 2008. Data released shows Chinese export figures for May fell 2.8% instead of 5% previously expected. And that's sent shares higher by over 2.25%, as you can see. Meanwhile, the Nikkei in Japan has shrugged off news. Annualized GDP was revised up from 2.4% to 3.9%. There you can see the Nikkei closed the session ever so flat. Here in Europe, all eyes were naturally on Deutsche Bank at the open, and that stock surged 8% in trade this morning. But it's been a pretty red session at the open. The CAC 40 here in Paris opening down 0.6%. Similar picture with the FTSE, but over in Turkey, the benchmark index, the BIST, opened down 5.8% after Sunday's election results, and we're getting some new flashes.
Yes, the central bank is cutting the foreign exchange deposit rate to support the Turkish lira. The Turkish lira slumping dramatically after the election result came in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Delano de Souza.